service today. I am Juno, lead pastor, and it is exciting to be with you as we continue in our major messages from minor voices. Again, it's a sermon series in the minor prophets. I'm going to unpack that a little bit more in just a moment. But hey, let's not forget some of those minor people who give us some major messages. And so you're going to see a video. You're going to hear my grandson more than see him. But my daughter is trying to teach him a memory verse. So let's tune in.
Okay, let's try it again. Say, I am the vine.
I am the vine.
You are the branches.
I am the branches.
No, say, you are the branches.
Yeah, I am the branches.
No, I am the vine. Say, I am the vine.
The vine.
You are the branches.
I am the branches.
Okay, the kid needs a little theology, but I think some of us think we're what? I am the vine and I am the branches. So he's probably not far off. Anyway, I've also had this week the blessing of having one of my sisters here for a week. She just missed her younger brother, which makes her the older sister. But nonetheless, she's been here. I came home from work, and I found 3 bags of trash from my kitchen. Every spice, and I had several layers of them, every spice was tossed. It's like, what's the deal? She goes, do you know this stuff is 10 years old? I mean, do spices really expire? Hands up if you think spices Oh, not many of you. So anyway, but thankful for the spices on sale at Walmart because I think we could just get 3: salt, pepper, and some Italian seasoning. That's it. That's all a single guy really needs. And then I didn't know. I'm thinking once food is in the freezer, it's there forever. I mean, it's good. You've frozen it. So whenever I feel like thawing out something that's been there for a while, and she's like, toss, toss. I can feel the ice crystals in this package. Toss, toss. But anyway, and vitamins. Zach, you should know for me, and Lydia, I didn't know vitamins went bad. That these expiration dates, and I just thought that's a myth for these manufacturers to keep selling stuff. They're vitamins. But anyway, so we've had a fun time tidying up the place. And it really wasn't bad to begin with. But anyway, I have a whole lot more cupboard space to fill up. So anyway, so it's been fun to have her here. We visited some of my favorite eateries, so to speak. And I think so far, Kebab Crush. Now, I should get them to give us a coupon. So far is our favorite place, I think, right? Okay. And I have not taken her to Popeyes. She is those in Michigan. So, hey, as I've been preparing this message, I keep coming back to a simple chorus that I had taught in my grandsons. You know, as I'm taking for their little walks, I'm always singing it. I think I've shared it before. But it is a great reminder for us to keep focused, and especially as Tina mentioned in her prayer and with what's going on in this world, it's a great reminder. So I thought, let's start the service before I speak with singing the song. I'll sing it through once. Get a little drink here. And then you can join me the second time, okay? It's that simple chorus. Amen and amen. I think we need to listen to that or sing that often as we go through these days of our lives. Again, I've had some conversations with people last week after the series, and so after the sermon. So let me unpack a couple things. The minor prophets, they spoke during times of some great instability. There was political upheaval, social injustice, moral decay, and even the fear of foreign invaders. And that is not taken from the newspapers this week. That is what's happened years ago. You won't find the title Minor Prophets. A couple ask, I can't find minor prophets. It doesn't show up in my Bible. Well, humans made the title Minor Prophets, and they made it not because they were insignificant or lesser people, or that their book was like the B team, so to speak. It is really because as they were putting the Bible together, they needed a way to categorize and not forget these smaller books. So they're simply called the minor prophets. So if you Google will probably give you a list of the minor prophets, but if you go to your table of contents in your printed Bible, for those of you who still have a printed Bible, you're not going to find them. It's just a way for us to track and not forget the minor prophets. And again, they were addressing a nation that was just grappling with some uncertainty and some moral failure. And apparently, because of what was going on, some perceived that God is being silent. And again, folks, that would be us. The stuff of life hits the fan, and what do we say? God, where are you? God, why this? God, why that? If you loved me, God, why would this happen? If you loved me, God, how can I let 24 stacks of jars of spices go to waste? No. That did not send me on a spiritual crisis, throwing all those out. But nonetheless, people thought God was silent because of what was happening in the culture. The messages of the minor prophets are really timeless because obviously they speak to us today as well as remind us of how God moved in the past. And though the context has changed, the human condition has not. And so whether it is the fear of the Assyrians or the Babylonians' invasions or the fears of our own struggles that we have today, these prophets remind us of a God that is still sovereign and his justice will prevail, even when we can't see it or when things may feel hopeless. Now, last week I shared about Jonah and the big fish, not a whale. My grandson may call it a whale, but he's still learning. He's only 3. But it was a big fish. And Jonah was angry. He was angry with God. He ran from God because he thought God's love was way too big for him, way too vast. It's like, how can you love these people? And so he took off in a different direction. And so today we're looking at the book of Micah, as we saw in the video. And I'm going to provide just an overview of the book, but I'm going to narrow in on one verse that I think unpacks the entire book of Micah. As with Jonah, it is well worth your read, people, especially over the summertime. We do have a major messages from Minor Voices reading guide, a little template to help you. And again, like Micah is 7 chapters, 105 verses. So even if you're not a reader, this is the summer for you to start reading because you're not going to be like the Psalms, 150 chapters. You'll get through it, but it'll take you a while. The minor prophets are easy reads for you, and as I shared last week, they're pretty exciting reads, and I'm amazed at how they apply to our lives today. I just think it's a wake-up call. It's a wake-up call, at least Micah is for us today. It's a wake-up call for people who are pretending to be faithful while ignoring God's desire and his priority for what truly matters in life. The people of Judah were becoming complacent in their faith. I'm not saying that any of us are. They are, Micah was noticing people were just pretty complacent. And they were doing all the religious things that they should be doing, but their heart was just not in it. They were doing all the exterior stuff that makes them look good, makes them look nice and holy, but their heart, their life was not changed from the inside out. They were doing all the exterior things, making themselves look good, but they really did not change their heart. They weren't living a life, as we will read in Micah, that talks about justice and mercy and humility. Again, it's Micah. His message is both a prophetic of the future as well as a current reality of what is going on. Micah reminds us and warns us of judgment for the unjust. It is also gives us hope for the future, for restoration and recovery and healing for those who turn back to God and reflect on his character. And so that's what they call it, a TED Talk on Micah. You know, things were horrible. People were corrupt. Everybody was not doing their thing, and Micah steps in. And he challenges us not to just perform the religious rituals. And again, as we've talked about, the rituals aren't bad in and of themselves. But the rituals, you come into church, is not going to let God love you anymore. It's not going to make him say, I see Sister Kay's in church today in California. That deserves extra credit. I'm going to love her more. It has nothing, doing these things. You're going to give offering in a little bit. Some of you will. God doesn't love you anymore for what you give. I might like you a lot more for what you give. But no, I won't. No. But God doesn't. God looks at your heart. And so your giving really changes you from the inside out. And anything we do, you join a life group, God's not going to love you anymore. But you're going to feel the love of God as you interact with other people and as you care for them and love them. But anyway, God's people, they were showing up for worship. They were making all the sacrifices that they needed to make. They were saying the right words, but their lives, what they were doing, did not match up with their beliefs. Basically, they were lacking integrity. And again, I'm not from that tradition where you can confess to me, but you probably should be confessing to somebody that if you're slipping in some areas, that you need help, you need prayer, because integrity is just missing. The people back in Micah's day, they were cheating, they were lying, they were ignoring the poor, and they were turning a blind eye to injustice. Again, in Micah 6, God essentially puts them on trial. What have I done for you, he asked. How have I burdened you? And people responded with an exaggerated religion. Should we offer you 1,000 rams? Should we give all of these things? Should we give you our firstborn? And basically they're asking, okay, God, what does it take? What do you need from us? And it comes back with Micah 6:8, which is the key verse for the chapter and really the only verse I'll be focusing on today. God's reply isn't about religion, doing all the religious things that you think God would have you do. It's about character. It's about action. It's about having our faith be lived out in what we do. And we read this in verse Micah 6:8. He has shown you, O mortal, what is good. And what does the Lord require of you? To act justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God. Now, back in 1991, I was a part of an accelerated leadership development program back at Western Michigan University, where one of the assignments was to write a personal mission statement. So here I was at a state university with a couple hundred people in this big auditorium with this very expensive speaker they brought in to help train us in leadership. And all I could think of was, again, that verse. And what does the Lord require of you to do? To act justly and to love mercy and to walk humbly with your God. I'm like, shouldn't that be my mission statement? And then, again, it's been 30-some years, 35 years ago. I still think maybe that should be all of our mission statements. Now, again, through the book of Philippians that we just went through, and even through many of these verses and many of these books in our summer series, it's like there's a lot of potential life verses that you could adapt. But again, Micah, this verse from Micah 6:8 just kept coming to my mind. I'm like, what's everybody writing about? I think I got my written. I'm all done. And I've been to many seminars since. I've been to marriage conferences where they always talk about mission statements. Make a mission statement as a married couple. Make a mission statement for your family. I'm sure at your places of employment, you maybe have listened to something or had somebody in that talks about a mission statement. It's key to help keeping people focused. And again, I still think, and what does the Lord require of you? To act justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God. These are emotionally charged words, people. Again, they were given to Michael, not Michael, any Michaels? Hi. They were given to Micah in a time when it was horrible. Cheating, lying, people being taken advantage of, exploited. And God says, this is what you do. Don't give me this. Don't give me that. Don't do this. This is what you do. Act justly, love mercy, and to walk humbly with God. And let's just say it. If we all did that, I think Artesia and Cerritos and Bellflower, they'd all be a different city because we did that. And so, as with most things in the Bible, so what? What do we do about that today? So, again, I'm glad you're asking those questions because I have hopefully a few answers for you. So what's the difference between standing up for justice versus disagreeing with somebody and letting it go? Standing up for justice versus disagreeing with somebody and letting it go. So acting justly is doing what is right according to God's standards, not your own. It often means standing up for what's fair, protecting the vulnerable, seeking what is humane in our world. It's about aligning our lives with biblical values of love and of truth and of justice. It's acting justly. Acting justly may require us to confront some wrongdoing or standing up for the oppressed, regardless of our personal comfort or even some disagreement. Again, we just announced a little over $3,100 that you folks have given toward our Change for Christ initiative. In the past month, it was Forgotten Children. That is, we can't do everything as a church, but we can do some things. And it's doing some things are better than not doing anything. And so that's how we engage often. We have several organizations. Olive Crest, which is coming here on Thursday night for our summer spectacular, they're going to bring a couple hundred people, families who just need to be together and to have some fun. And we're doing our best to partner with them to make a difference. Individually, you might not be able to help, but collectively, as God's church, we can stand for we can stand up for those who need help, for those who are vulnerable, for those whose lives are in many ways falling apart. And again, as a church, can we do everything for everybody? No. And that's why we're a gift-based church. It depends on what your gifts are and your passion is and your wheelhouse will depend on the direction, maybe some of the things that we do or some of the things that we don't do. And on the other hand, accepting what you don't agree with doesn't mean that you're compromising your values. So if we decided to paint this building green, and you're like, you're an idiot, Pastor. Some of you would call me something else. Green, why would you paint it green? And that's an injustice. Well, no, it's a difference of opinion. No, I'm going to get my life group, and we're going to storm the office, and we're going to tell you what to do with this paint color. It's not going to be green. Now, thankfully, we are far beyond those days that we worried about paint colors. But there is a difference between, I disagree maybe, versus an injustice happening. And that's where it's like we've talked about over and over, the idea of being in community, the idea of talking with others who love you and support you and will speak truth to you. They'll say, it's not an injustice. Yeah, we don't like the color, but that's not our role to play that. And so really it is the humility allows each of us to accept something that we may disagree with without abandoning the fact that I love Jesus, this is a place of worship, and it's, okay, green isn't my thing, but okay. And so at times there's some fine lines there between injustice and an opinion. And again, I have just found it easier to process that with other people, to make sure that I'm not crossing any lines or have something blurred when really it shouldn't be. So again, while acting justly may involve standing firm on what's right, accepting disagreement is about fostering peace and understanding, even with differing opinions. And both are needed to live and function and to have a relationship with God and with others. So I'm going to, again, break down verse 6, Micah 6:8, just a little bit more about acting justly. This means treating others with fairness, honestly, and with integrity, especially when nobody is watching. It means standing up for the oppressed, not cutting corners just because you think you can get away with it, and it's refusing to benefit from someone else's loss. And again, I know this verse is just these words right now in our culture and what's going on are loaded words. Justice and love and mercy, which is a part of this verse. Just don't show kindness because you have to. You show it because you want to. Show it because God is doing something in your heart, even though you don't want to do something to show mercy. We serve a God of second chances. None of us would be here without serving a God who has given us second chances. So delight in it. Give mercy. Be generous in your spirit. Not to where you become a doormat for people. Some fine lines. Don't become a doormat. But it's where you embrace mercy. Mercy isn't a sign of weakness. It's really a strength of control that God is in control of your life. And to walk humbly. This is about your posture before God and others. It means admitting that you don't have all the answers, that you just don't know. It's depending on God and others daily, not just when life gets hard. It's sort of like that money in the bank, no deposit, no return. Walking humbly with others, even when things are going great, helps you to build up that reserve. So when things hit the fan, you have others you can talk to and process life again. This whole idea of doing justice and love and mercy and walking humbly with God, it really means that our faith isn't measured by what happens in this room on 1 hour or hour and 15, or depends on who's preaching, an hour and a half. It really is measured by what happens outside of these walls. That's why part of our mission is to be New Life for the city and beyond. Ricky has, is it 12 people? in Indonesia? Yeah, 12 people. Well, that's a little different than 400 or 500 that meet here on a Sunday. That's okay because many of you have given financially to help make Ricky's trip possible. And so while you're not there physically, you're there with him prayerfully and in your hearts as they live in unbelievably hot and humid temperatures at times, doing things that they just feel called for God to do. Again, it's our faithfulness is not measured by how many times we sit in this room together, but it's really it's measured on how you interact with people who cut you off on the expressway. Are you talking to Jesus about where he should send them? How about the people in line at the grocery store? You're like, you got 3, okay, I'm not confessing, but maybe you'd be like, you got 3 items, how long does it take to get through the line? And you're like, okay, I picked the wrong line again. When somebody's late or misses an appointment, are you in your mind going through, you irresponsible, disrespectful, arrogant, whatever else you want to add to that, or to use that time to be praying for him or her, and that, oh, I wonder what happened. Maybe the car broke down. Maybe somebody's sick. Maybe they're sick. Maybe they couldn't get to the phone. So do you use that time to really pray for them, or are you just doing a mental evaluation of their character? Again, we are called to love our enemies. So do we? Do you pray for your enemies? Do you pray for those who have hurt you? And if we don't, people, we're just like anybody else. Because we're called by our Lord to pray for our enemies. Not just to pray for the people we like. Because anybody can do that. God calls us to a higher standard of living. It also means, this verse, that we stop asking God, what can I do? How do I impress you, God? Oh, I've screwed up majorly, so what do? I come to church. Because I think God will forgive me if I'm sitting here. Maybe I give a little bit more on the offering plate because I blew it here, and I think God will love me more. And really, it is none of those things. It's how we live our lives and how we go from one point to the other. Now, you may not make that swing of kindness and mercy and humility in one day. That would be amazing if you did. But it's a process. It is a journey. And again, friends, we don't ask God, how can I impress you, Lord? And people, this idea of injustice and mercy is huge, especially here in California. Immigration, are they being treated unjustly? Do we need to show mercy? And where's the line in any of that? And we're not going to discuss that because we would have a variety of opinions. But the question is then, while we can't solve the immigration problem, which I wish we could, but what about your neighbors? Are you loving them? Your coworker that you just think, you slime dog, or whatever else you want to call him or her. Are we loving them? Are we showing mercy to them? Are we walking humbly with them? And so while we can't solve probably world problems, you can solve some of the issues right in your own backyard, your own office, or whoever you come in contact with. How can you make a difference in somebody else's life? 2 weeks ago, we wrapped up our Philippians study, a great study. Pastor Ryan spoke, and one of his points, I think it was your closing point, Ryan, it was, who are you caring for? And who are you allowing to care for you? Because Paul was in prison. His life was a mess. Wasn't sure if he was going to live or not. But yet the church was supportive of him and it was caring for him. And so really, what can you do? I doubt we're going to change some legislation, however you say that word. Thank you. But you can make a difference with your spouse, with your kids, with your friends, with your coworkers. And the question that Ryan asked 2 weeks ago is still a question for each of us today. Who are you caring for? And who are you allowing to care for you? Micah's message is as relevant today as it was then. We don't need more performances for God. God doesn't need showmen or showwomen to show him how good we are down here. We don't need performances. We don't need to work harder for God to love us more. Maybe we just need some more compassion. We don't need louder voices, but maybe somebody needs to hear your voice in a one-on-one conversation about how much you value them, how important they are to you. We don't need more religion, trust me. We don't need more religion. We just need a deeper faith that changes what we do to reflect who God is. So again, this week, choose one way to act justly. This really brings it home, hopefully practically. Maybe it's standing up for somebody who's been mistreated. Maybe you're involved with a cause and involved in a peaceful protest. Those are encouraging ways to make a difference. One way to love mercy is maybe it's forgiving somebody without holding it, whatever that it, over them. Maybe it's that you walk humbly. You don't need the limelight. You don't need all the attention. You just need to be available to allow God to use you to speak into their life. God is not looking people for show. He's not looking for flashy faith. He is just looking for a just, merciful, and a humble heart. So what does the Lord require of you? What does he require of you this week? And the way I see it after I've read this book several times is to act justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with our God. And God's people said, amen.